Have you ever really thought about it? How a single cell becomes a tiny breathing human being in what feels like the blink of an eye? Well, today we are going to do just that. We're diving deep into that incredible 40-week journey of pregnancy. Okay, so first things first, let's tackle a question that trips a lot of people up. We all say pregnancy is 9 months long, right? But then doctors and everyone else talks about it being 40 weeks. If you do the math, 9 months is actually closer to 36 weeks. So where do those extra 4 weeks come from? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple. It's not some weird biological mystery. It all comes down to how we count. It's about choosing a different starting line for the whole process. And here is the secret. Doctors and healthcare professionals use something called gestational age. This means that the 40-week clock doesn't start at conception. No, it starts on the first day of the mother's last menstrual period. And get this, that's usually about 2 full weeks before the baby is even conceived. So those first 2 weeks get bundled into the 40-week countdown. And there you have it. So to make sense of it all, this table breaks down those 40 weeks into the 3 big stages that we're going to explore, the trimesters. You can think of this as our roadmap for the whole journey, taking us month by month all the way to the finish line. Let's start at the very beginning, the first trimester. And this is so much more than just a starting point. This is where the most incredible, most rapid transformation happens. It's like the entire blueprint for a human being gets laid down at a truly mind-boggling speed. And like we just said, the clock starts before the main event even happens. Week 1 is technically the mother's last period. It's not until the end of week 2 that fertilization or conception actually occurs. Then by week 3, this tiny group of cells, now called a blastocyst, makes its way to the uterus and implants itself. And that's when development really kicks into high gear. And that single moment of fertilization, it's just profound. As the Better Health Channel puts it, the baby's gender and all of its inherited characteristics are decided in that instant. Just think about that. The complete genetic blueprint is locked in right then and there, from eye color to how tall they might be. From this point on, the pace of growth is just absolutely breathtaking. By week 4, the embryo is smaller than a single grain of rice. Just 1 week later, the neural tube, which becomes the brain and spine, is already forming. By week 7, there's a tiny heart already beating. And then by the incredible week 10 mark, it's officially called a fetus because all of the major organs are already formed. Just amazing. But, with such incredibly fast and complex development comes a lot of fragility. This early stage is by far the most delicate. It's also important to acknowledge that according to the sources, this is when the vast majority of miscarriages happen. Around 1 in 4 known pregnancies end, and most of those happen within this first 12-week period. Okay, so now we're moving into the second trimester. If that first trimester was all about creating the blueprint, this phase is all about construction. This is a time of major growth, of refinement, and the truly incredible awakening of the senses. And for the mother, this trimester is often a huge relief. That intense exhaustion and morning sickness from the early weeks starts to fade away, and it's often replaced by a new burst of energy. This is also when the pregnancy usually starts to show, which is a really special milestone for a lot of people. Meanwhile, inside, the baby's world is just exploding with new experiences. A whole sensory system is coming online. By week 14, vocal cords are formed. At week 16, their tongue has taste buds. By week 20, this is a big one. The ears are fully functional and they can actually hear sounds from the outside world. And by week 24, their eyes can open and close. And that brings us to a huge moment for so many expectant parents. Around week 20, at the routine ultrasound scan, the baby's anatomy is developed enough that the gender can often be seen clearly. You can imagine the excitement and anticipation in that room. And just like that, we've made it to the home stretch. The third trimester. This is all about the final preparations for birth. The main focus is on packing on the pounds and maturing all the systems the baby will need for life on the outside. I mean, the growth during this phase is just immense. Take a look at this chart. The baby puts on so much length and weight. We're talking going from around 37 centimeters at week 28 to over 50 by week 40. That is a massive leap in just 12 weeks. So what's happening during this final push? Well, for the baby, the lungs are maturing super fast. That's one of the last and most critical things to finish developing. Their movements become really strong and coordinated, and most will flip into that classic head-down position. Now, for the mother, this final growth spurt can definitely bring on some discomfort, like back pain and trouble sleeping, as the baby starts taking up pretty much all the available space. So we've made it to week 40. The finish line is in sight. But what about that infamous due date? What does it actually mean? Is it some kind of strict deadline? Here is the absolute key takeaway. Full term is not one specific day on a calendar. It's a window of time. A healthy full-term baby can be born anywhere between 37 and 42 weeks. That's a much wider range than most of us think. That's right, a 5-week window for arrival. The 40-week mark, it's basically just the midpoint of that window. It's so much better to think of a due date as a due estimate, not an expiration date. And honestly, this quote from the Better Health channel just sums it all up perfectly. A due date is a guide, but babies, well, they usually come when they are ready. It's a great reminder that every single pregnancy, every birth has its own unique story and timeline. So after walking through this incredible 40-week countdown from a single microscopic cell to a fully formed person, it kind of leaves you with this one big thought to ponder. When you reflect on this meticulous, complex, and just astonishingly rapid process, what does it really tell us about the sheer power and resilience of life itself?